Hey, what is up guys? So I got 3 awesome cards for you guys today that you can side deck that are relatively inexpensive. So if you're a budget player, there's going to be 3 awesome cards that you can use in your side deck. Whether you're looking to get more competitive in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Or just kind of want to have some fun with the game and actually get some wins in. But I know that there hasn't been a very large Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament recently. We're still waiting for the Legacy of the Vant to come out. But I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that Boojins will probably be a very popular archetype, as well as the Prophecy or Spellbook. And depending on what support we get for the Noble Knights, this might be a popular deck as well. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump and look at those 3 cards really fast, because some of you guys might just want to know what those 3 cards are. So first off, Zombie World, Creature Swap, and DNA Surgery. So first off, let's go ahead and talk more about these cards. So first off, DNA Surgery, it changes the type of the monsters on the field. So you get to choose whatever you want. Now, if you've ever played against Boojins, or played the deck, you'll realize that they require a Beast Warrior Boojin monster. And if they don't have that, if you call zombies, you call plants, you call something completely absurd to the point where they can't use a lot of their support. A lot of their stuff fails because they do not control a Boojin model that has its effect, not changed to like a zombie or a plant or whatever. So it hurts that deck really, really bad. And they can't use, like I said, a lot of their cards rely on them having a Beast Warrior Boojin on board. So that can definitely hurt them a lot. Next up against something like Spellbooks, it's fantastic because a lot of stuff requires you to have a Spellcaster type monster on the field, or if you're playing the field spell, it requires a Spellcaster in the graveyard. One aspect that Zombie World does have like an edge over DNA Surgery is it also changes the graveyard, so that is like a plus side. But the thing is, Spellbooks, they are able to search out that field spell, so in one aspect it is technically a little bit faster, but it doesn't have that surprise factor like DNA Surgery has. Like sometimes maybe if your opponent requires a certain type to, XYZ, Synchro or something like that, you can activate DNA Surgery in response to them summoning a monster, and that way they are exhausting more of the resources. So that is just one aspect where DNA Surgery can technically be a little bit better, but changing the types can definitely hurt a lot of different decks. Noble Knights, on the other hand, they lose really hard, with the exception of EXCALIBURN, because this one is a equip card that you just need to have a Noble Knight monster to equip it to. Things like the RFD, or however you pronounce this card. A lot of the cards that they equip with, they require a warrior type monster, with the exception of EXCALIBURN, unless we get some other more support cards that just need to be a Noble Knight monster. But for the most part, most of them say that they have to be a warrior type. So whether you're playing Zombie World or DNA Surgery, that will absolutely wreck them very hard. Now, pretty much DNA Surgery and Zombie World, they're basically the same card, but like I said, DNA Surgery has that surprise aspect. Zombie World has that effect where it also affects the graveyard, so that can stop other things. And Zombie World technically has another effect where they can't tribute summon monsters except for zombie type monsters. So if you're playing against Frog Monarchs, that's an excellent card, or just a lot of things in general that tribute. There's not too many decks that tribute, other than maybe some deck randomly playing Caius, because that's like the most meta card that requires like a tribute summon. But for the most part, that is relatively not too high up there on like the scale of why you would play Zombie World. But the thing is, if you happen to have a bad matchup against Monarchs, maybe some guy always beats you with Frog Monarchs at locals, hey, this is a fantastic card, because pretty much they won't be able to do like anything at that point. Like when Zombie World's on the field, if they don't get rid of Zombie World, like they can't do anything. They basically lose at that point. Zombie World, fantastic card in that aspect. Like I said, I can't think of any other decks that really like to tribute, other than like there's also, take it back, the Heretics, but I think they can special summon. I think it's also special summon by tributing a monster, if I remember correctly. So Zombie World, pretty good in that aspect, but to make a Tum, I believe it requires dragons anyway, so if you DNA Surgery, ruin their play, that can definitely hurt them as well. Going back to Zombie World though, if they're still playing dragons, because there's always someone trying to play dragons still, and eventually someone will probably end up finding a good build for it, but this will change everything to zombies, and that can technically hurt the deck as well. And so, like I said, pretty much they do the same thing. But next up, Creature Swap. Now this is a really easy card to obtain. I don't know how many copies of this thing I have, but it comes in a lot of different structure decks, and this card is just a fantastic easy card, especially if you're playing cards that float for other cards, whether you're playing something like TGs or any card like Mystic Tomato, Giant Rat, Shining Angel, Nova Summoner, anything that goes into another monster, or a monster that has the same effect of Sangan, because Sangan's still banned. But anyways, this card is just fantastic because, against Noble Knights, I don't know if you guys have played against this deck, but generally what the deck does is it throws out one monster and equips a bunch of stuff to it, and then that's like you can't target it, you can't destroy it, and if you just, trade, I don't know, you summon your Marshmallow, trade your Marshmallow for, you know, a Noble Knight that has like 5 equips. And at that point, they're going to look at a game where it's going to be very difficult for them to come back into because they can't equip anything because they've essentially clogged up their field. Because I've seen a lot of times Noble Knight players equipping, you know, 5 equips to a monster, and then from there, you know, they can't really make any plays because they just don't have the room. You know, Heavy Storm, it doesn't exist, and they can't even play Mystical Space Typhoon because, like I said, they clogged up their board. So, Creature Swap, excellent card against Noble Knights. Also fantastic against the Bujins because if you take their Beast Warrior, you know, they can't drop the Mikazuchi. They can't really do a lot of the things that they would do unless they still happen to have multiple back row. But the deck generally plays like the Protect the Yamato game. It almost has the same idea of Noble Knights, where it's like you get out one monster and you try to protect it as hard as possible. The thing is, there's a lot more support coming out for Bujin as well, and in the TCG, we're getting a lot more support for the Noble Knight, so maybe this deck will be pretty popular. But against Spellbooks, I wouldn't really say Creature Swap is the best card. I mean, you know, taking someone's Will of Prophecy is pretty good. I mean, that thing is a pretty nasty beater, but, you know, they still happen to have things like Spellbook of Wisdom, so watch out for that too. But definitely still an excellent card against the other 2 decks, but I figure, you know, some players are interested in going to some competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Areas, and so DNA Surgery, Creature Swap, and Zombie World, very fantastic cards, and I thought these were great cards because they're relatively inexpensive. Sometimes we see those side deck cards like Mistake, which can get kind of pricey if you want to main deck 3 of those, or I'm sorry, side deck 3 of those, it can get kind of pricey and you might not be able to have the budget and range for these. But nonetheless, 3 awesome budget side deck cards for you guys. But if you guys felt like I missed out on any other decks that could technically be, you know, high tier as far as the meta goes that would actually lose to these, hey, let me know. As well as perhaps other side deck choices that will actually affect some of the meta game that are relatively inexpensive, because a lot of players that are, you know, trying to get these tips and stuff, they're kind of new to the game and, you know, they are usually on a budget. So I figured I help some of you budget players out. But if there's any more like great side deck cards, hey, let me know in the comment section below, and we'll do like another like updated version of this, or have another discussion about other side deck choices. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Asian Eyes out.